Hello, it's Christina. Hello, guys. Welcome to day 3. If you are here and you're watching live, can you let me know if you can see me, okay? And I'm going to get this pinned to the announcement section so everybody can find us. Hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. Okay, so let me post this. Hi, Chantel. Good to see you. Hi, Kara. Good to see you. Okay, mark his announcement, and then we're going to pin it to the top. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Hi, Vivian. So real quick, while we're just waiting for everybody to come in. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you. What did you guys think about yesterday's training? Hi, Desiree. Hi, Lauren. Did it make you think the rest of the day? So when you woke up this morning and you're like, I'm going to get it today. I'm going to make some sales today. What was kind of going through your mind? Hi, Jennifer. Vila, good to see you. So I'll just recap the challenge really quickly. So the first day we talked about what is a high vibe client versus a low vibe client, and we kind of talked about some of the things that are involved in that. We started defining what we believe is a high value coach, okay? And then yesterday we talked about income generating activities. We talked about how to kind of pace yourself. We talked about how to really work your schedule around. I was seeing a lot of really cool posts this morning. Some of you were sending me your Trello boards, and that was awesome. So I get to check those out. Yeah, it was really good. Jennifer says, came to some revelations. Awesome. Hi, Kristen. Good to see you. Glad I could catch you live. Celia, hi. Danielle, learned lots and kind of feel like I need to start fresh, and that's okay. Beginner's mind is something that is really difficult for people to kind of get into the space of, because you kind of have to detach yourself from everything you think you know. And it's like, it kind of helps you when you're in that overthinking, which, raise your hand if you overthink things. That's something we all kind of do, I think. Kristen says, I'm so glad I got to listen to most of your talk yesterday. Vila says, yes, I was thinking about what you said. Fridays is my pitch day, and I usually make my goal to sell about $1,000 over the weekend. Right. Vivian says the content of yesterday's workshop made a lot of sense. Cool. I'm glad. Today we're going to talk about what to do instead of discovery calls, because when I told you guys to stop doing discovery calls, that a lot of you guys were like, so we're going to talk about actually selling over Messenger, and we're going to talk about at what thresholds, like maybe you want to reserve your discovery calls. It's not that discovery calls don't work. It's just that there are far superior ways to go about selling. So it's not to say that certain things don't work. It's just to say that they don't work very well. And they're really not something a high value coach would do, right? Because this whole challenge is about distinguishing a high value coach from, a not high value coach, and really working to attract high vibe clients. So even though something you do might get you a client, it doesn't necessarily mean they're a high vibe client. So that's what we really want to focus on. Yeah, I overthink too. It's a problem, right? Lauren says, after the video yesterday, my hotline queue filled up immediately. That's so funny. Isn't that funny how energy works in that way? I booked some Etsy clients and randomly got some inheritance I wasn't expecting. I think you opened me up to the cash flow. Well, Lauren, you're going to love. So in the private student group for the Market Yourself as a Spiritual / Tarot Life Coach program, we are playing a game starting Monday. It's a 4-week game, and it's going to be a game to up-level our money mindset. So you're going to really love that. And it's really just a lot of fun to play. Kara says, analysis paralysis has been a habit of mine for sure. And that happens a lot, getting out of that overthinking. And I think that that's really like what really defines successful people versus not successful people is that successful people just do things. Like they fail more times than the non-successful people even try, So that's something like I always tell myself in the back of my mind, like, you know what, I might do this and it might flop and it might not do very well, but at least I've tried. And it's a numbers game at that point. Like eventually you're going to figure something out. You're going to figure out what works. Mila says, I once committed to a $2,000 course without any personal conversation with the coach or her team, no discovery call, and never did get a live session like this one with her, not even during the course. So it's so unfortunate that this is the reality. And this is, when I talk about overcoming imposter syndrome, part of your imposter syndrome is legitimate. It is very, very true that unfortunately there are a lot of people out there that are in this industry and they're not really a people person. They don't have bedside manner. They don't, there's this thing where people do this because they think that they can just make money. And what you'll notice is that those people either don't stick around a long time or they don't have repeat buyers, right? Because once you learn that you're not really getting something of value from someone, then you're not going to buy anything more. So they stay in business because they like rely on ads sending them new, basically naive people. And trust me, I've definitely purchased things like that and I've been burned too. And I think that's why I work so hard to be the person that I am and why I teach people how to show up and be a real person online, because I think that I think people are smarter these days. And I think that we have to be accountable professionally in this industry and just work to be the change. So yeah, it happens. Oh my God, that quote means so much to me. I hate that feeling like I'm the only person feeling it anything in the whole world because everyone has failed. They just don't talk about it. And actually talking about your failures is a part of story selling. And that's what we're going to talk about today too. So we're going to talk about selling, what you can do instead of discovery calls. We're also going to talk about like some of the objections that people have and some of the objections that we can kind of work with and some of the ones that are just honestly just not even worth it. We're going to talk about vetting people because I would say 90% of our time is wasted on the wrong people. So how can you recognize a high value or a high vibe client right away? How can versus people that are just kind of window shopping? That's a really big one. And then what else are we going to talk about today? Oh, story selling, how to utilize your story to sell. Okay. Hi, Renee. Good to see you. Yeah. So, okay, let's start with discovery calls and what we can do instead. So, we talked yesterday about how doing a discovery, let's say okay, there are levels to this. So, let's say that you are offering a $45 session, right? Now, if someone is it really worth your time getting on a discovery call with someone to sell a 45-minute session? And who knows, maybe you end up talking to that person 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour goes by. If you don't have good boundaries on like setting an end time where you're like, because how many times have you gotten on a discovery call and it's like an hour later and you didn't mean to spend an hour on that call? It just, you didn't feel like you could interrupt that person or you didn't feel like you knew how to take control of that sort of situation, right? So having good boundaries is going to be first and foremost if you should even do discovery calls. And I would say just practice with your friends. Just get on the phone with your friends and just tell your friend to start talking about her day and just practice interrupting people. So what I will say typically is, oh, I'm so sorry. It's sorry to interrupt you. They're in deep in thought. Sorry to interrupt you. But I just looked at the clock. We have 5 minutes left of our session. So I wanted to make sure you didn't have any questions or anything that we really needed to talk about before we get off the phone. Okay. So that's one way to get people out of that. You have to kind of not feel bad about interrupting people or defining points in which you are stopping the conversation, right? So feeling more empowered to take control of the conversation. Now, if you're selling a $2,000 coaching package, and they want to talk to you to see if they're a right fit for that. That's one thing. Have they already bought some of your other things? Like, do you have lower priced offers? So also instead of discovery calls, what I recommend is creating content and experiences that are more accessible in price. And what I mean by that is doing like workshops, group things, group meditations, group channeling sessions, group coaching sessions, things that are lower in price, that they are like no-brainer investments, like this is a good way to kind of sample your work or get an introduction to your work, right? Instead of doing discovery calls. So, like for example, if you wanted to do one night a week where you have like an open coaching room or something, and you invite people to come in, it's like $25 for a ticket. They'll get 10 to 15 minutes of your time, and you'll just go down in order of people that show up. And the value there is listening to you as a coach other people, and seeing what they're going through and stuff like that. So there is value in that. So that's something else that you could do instead of discovery calls, or releasing micro pieces of content like workshops and other things like that, like workbooks and trainings, courses, lower price than what you would do a discovery call for your higher ticket price. So usually by the time that someone buys a workshop from you, or attends a live training, or some type of group coaching thing with you, they should have a really good idea about kind of who you are as a coach, and your work style and things like that. The other thing that you need to focus on is your content. If you do not have a library of educational, motivational, inspirational content, then you don't have trust. And we talked about this a lot over the past 2 days. Your content is integral. Your content, your free videos on YouTube or wherever, are the stepping point where people first find out about you, get to know you, your energy a little bit, decide if you're the right person for them. So it's more lucrative. How would you rather spend that 15 minutes on the phone with one person trying to feel out if they're a good fit, or spend 15 minutes creating a video that you can send $1 a day to, and you can get like maybe 1,000 views over the next month? And you can profit 1,000 times more off that 15 minutes than you would on a discovery call. Now, like I said, if you are doing something like a multi-thousand-dollar package, then maybe that's something to really consider. But, if you don't have the content, if you don't have those more accessible types of offerings, and the investment of what you're trying to sell is like, it's just not worth doing, then do these other things first, right? Do the other things first. Okay. So that's what you can do instead of discovery calls. Now, the other thing that I like to do is selling over Facebook Messenger, and I don't think I've been on a discovery call for probably, because what I like to do instead is I like to talk to people and do sales over Messenger. And I've definitely closed multi-thousand-dollar packages over that. And a lot of that is because I have these cornerstones of my brand that are there to support me. I have the content, I have my accessible offers, that sort of thing. So usually by the time that people message me and want to chat and see if they're a right fit, usually it's something along the lines of, "Hey, I watch you on YouTube. I'm really interested in taking your course. This is a little bit about me. Do you think I would be a right fit?" Right? So that's what I would consider like a discovery call over chat. If you have people that are trying to get free coaching from you over Messenger, or you're spending time helping people for free and giving them customized advice, not just like general advice, like, general advice would be like the difference between someone asking you what you like, what deck that you like. Let's say you're a tarot teacher. General advice would be considered like, what deck do you like for love and relationship readings? Okay, so I don't mind. I'll give you a couple decks that I like, but I'm not going to tell someone how to do a love and relationship reading over Messenger, because that would be customized advice, right? And you can feel into that. When you get a request over Messenger for someone who wants to talk to you, feel into your body for a moment, feel into your energy, because you will feel, if it feels like you have a weight inside of you and your stomach feels heavy, it means that the energy exchange is unequal. If it's really light, it's really easy, you don't have to think very long about it, it's just kind of an automatic answer, then it's fine. Then you're making that connection and building that connection. But being able to discern who is curious about working with me versus who just wants to take advantage of me is going to be really key. Some people that will reach out to you. It may appear at first that they want to take advantage of you, right? But then it's because they don't know how to do this. It's like when you're dating for the first time in a long time, it's like that where you're like kind of awkward at it and you're not really sure and you get these weird feelings and stuff. So how do we actually go about fielding people, especially when we're not sure? You get a message and it's not as clear cut as, can you tell me if I'm the right fit for this program? Like that's the ideal soulmate question that would come in. That's when you can drop all the pretenses of having to sell and having to prove anything to anybody, because really your job at that point is just to listen to their story and see if there's anything relatable in their story or what they're struggling with that you can actually help them with, right? So these are the 3 questions that I always ask. Okay, I say, first of all, tell me, if they haven't told me anything about themselves, I say, tell me about yourself. All right. Tell me about your experience with whatever it is that you're coaching on. So if you're a chakra coach, ask them, what is your experience with working on your chakras? How has that been for you? Okay. The second question is, what have you been doing that is working? What kind of modalities, what kind of strategies to managing or opening up or closing down your chakras, whatever their problem is. What has been working for you? So really what that is to kind of gauge their experience level, right? To kind of gauge where they're at in that journey, right? And then the next question, what are you doing that isn't working, or what is still a struggle for you? And then I guess it's 4 questions. The 4th magic question is, how do you think that I can help you with this problem? Okay. So a lot of us approach discovery calls as if or discovery, let's just not even call it discovery calls. Let's just call it discovery chats, right? Or discovery conversations, like just discovering things about one another, right? So many people go into these discovery conversations and they feel like almost kind of like they're getting the 3rd degree, or they're leaving themselves vulnerable, or like they're going to have to know every answer to every problem that this person has, or they feel like they have to be a show pony and they have to do these tricks and or they have to find just the right words to say to convert this one client, right? And that's a lot of pressure. And that's why people don't get on the phone. They don't become spiritual life coaches. They don't make that shift from being a tarot reader or a psychic into spiritual life coaching. That little thing right there is so, so big. Like that keeps people stuck for such a long amount of time. And it kept me stuck for a long amount of time too, until I learned to approach discovery conversations in a more authoritative way, right? Where instead of me getting on the phone and trying to sell myself to this person to convince them to invest in me, I get on the phone or I get on my Facebook Messenger and chat with people, and I direct the conversation and I interview them as like, okay, why do you think that you should be a client of mine? So I flip the script, I turn that on them, and it really gives people an opportunity, because either they're going to be able to verbalize what they're going through and answer those questions. And if they can do that, then I know that they are a good candidate for coaching or enrolling in my program, because there's a comprehension level that they have, and they're willing to put in the 5 to 10 minutes it's going to take to write up those answers and think about that. There is an openness to that. If they can't answer those questions, or they're completely lost, or they're just, we're not even reading the same book really, then I know that I'm not going to continue with that conversation, because there's something that they need to go through. There's some catalysts that they need to go through in order to become an ideal client to where I am at and where I coach people at. Does that make sense at all? So stop feeling so much pressure about getting on the phone with people. And really, if you just ask them those 4 questions, That's 15 minutes of your time right then and there. And then by the end of that, once they tell you their story, once they tell you where they're struggling with, then you as a coach can say, you can feel it out. Is this person going to be a good fit? Do I think I can help this person with what they're struggling with? Or do I just say no and say no, thank you, Okay. Hey Jessica, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Hey Soul, good to see you. Sarah, hey. Soul says, honestly, I've paid hundreds for sales trainings like this. No joke, qualifying clients. Absolutely. You will definitely save a lot of your time by being able to qualify clients. Absolutely. All right. Does anybody need me to repeat those 4 questions again? Tell me about your story. Tell me what is working. Tell me what isn't working. Tell me what you think that you're going to get out of coaching with me, or tell me what you think you need from me. And you can even say, and what is your budget, right? Because being able to ask people and have that open and honest communication about what their budget is will save you a lot of headache if you're trying to sell a $2,000 package and all they can afford is a $45 workshop. So ask them, how much are we spending? I just went to go buy a car in like October of last year. I bought myself a brand new car. It's one of those self-driving cars. It's really cool. And so I went in, talked to the person, and he was asking me questions like this, and he's like, okay, how much are we spending? And I thought that was really great because we could have spent the next hour looking at cars that I wasn't going to buy. Or he could have made assumptions about how much I could afford, because honestly, I dress like a hobo in real life. Like, I don't wear nice things out. I'm barely have my hair done. Like, you would see me walking down the street and you would not know if I have money or not. Like, you would think that I wouldn't have money, right? So when I go buy things, I intentionally look like I don't have a lot of money because I don't want people to assume that they're going to sell me the highest thing. But then again, I don't want people to have any idea about what it is that I'm spending, right? And so he asked me point blank, how much are we spending today? And I told him a figure, and he was like, okay, let's go look at these 3 cars. And he sold a car that day. So you got to think about it, right? Good questions. Okay. Oh, yeah. So that was a whole mess of the car. Like, I was getting some work done to it. Like, I was getting some custom work done to it. That was like 2 months. They told me it was going to be like a 10-day project. I ended up having to pull my car out after 2 months because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. When I dress down, I notice I get more sales too. Isn't that funny? Okay. So what else are we going to talk about? We talked about that. Oh, objections. Yeah. So let's talk about objections. So what are some of the biggest objections that you guys hear when people are saying that they want to work with you, but they won't invest? What are some of the biggest objections people are saying? The vetting has helped a lot, and I even turn the clients that can't verbalize their needs into a one-time reading client. So I give them the tools to get their path, and I tell them they're ready to come back to me, and I know they're ready to work with me. Right. So that's called meeting people where they're at, and that is a gift. So you have to meet people where they're at, adjust according to that, or say goodbye and move on. Sarah says you learn a lot about people when you dress like a hobo going out of your house, right? Pamela says, yeah, I'm not the type of person that, like, I have really nice purses and Coach purses and, things like, I don't wear that stuff out to public, to the grocery store or anything like that. So that's for nice events only, where I'm around people that are like that. Oh, I don't have any money. Yeah. My husband bought a MBZ with holes in his shirt. That's hilarious. Not enough time. Those are big ones. Yeah. So I can't afford it. I don't have the time. What about I have to ask my husband, I have to ask my wife, I have to ask my dog, I have to ask my shaman, my guru first. What's another one? Oh, I'm just too scared. Like, I don't think I can do it. Lack of self-confidence. It's funny, side tangent here. When you are going to sell, what you're going to learn is that there is a sales objection that isn't really stated. It's like an unstated elephant in the room kind of objection. And it's that I don't believe in myself to do this, or that I don't think I deserve this, right? So let's just put real sales objections to the side. But there's that unstated objection that when people reach out to invest in you, what they're really looking for, first of all, is approval that they deserve it, approval that they're worthy, permission that they're allowed to. I got to pray about it. That's a good one. I'm not ready. I can't do it. Thanks, Jessica. So she says she gets people that say they don't have time, money, or they're just not sure how they can benefit. So they can't see the value. Okay. Lauren, I have to ask my dog. I do chat with my dog about decisions. He is a good friend in soundboard. Right. I have business meetings with my cats too. So, there's that. Okay. So let's tackle these. I can't afford it. What that really means is that what the translation is that they don't see the value in how it's going to help them change their lives, or they can't envision actually manifesting the reality of what these things that they want to do, well, the things that they want to change, the transformational journey that they want to go on. There's going to always be a type of client who is more involved and excited about the fantasy of doing the thing than they are about actually doing the thing. So when people, I hate, I'm not going to generalize because I hate generalizations, but typically people who are I can't afford it, I don't have time. It's usually because they can't quite believe that it's possible yet. Okay. And that's a problem. Or they don't have that sense of urgency. They don't have that motivation to change their circumstances. Truth be told, they're just not uncomfortable enough with where they are, because we all know that point that we get, that breaking point where we say enough is enough and things have to change, right? There are people that think about yourself, back several years ago when you're starting out in your spiritual journey and just living your life. There are people that they need to go through something serious. They need to start their own healing journey. If they're not actively doing that on their own, it's nothing that's going to be a reflection of you. You're not the problem at this point. It's not that you aren't showing the value enough. It's not that you aren't explaining the value enough. It's not that you aren't holding the vision for them and supporting them in that. It's that they just can't do it because they're not there yet. And I do really think that divine timing is a lot of things. I think that people have to go through these rites of passages in their own lives. And it teaches them, as teachers, teaches them certain types of wisdom that I think you have to be in a certain place to be able to work with a coach and being open to that sort of thing. So in a way you can kind of say, and if it's going to be like an issue where that they're just too closed, that you're not going to spend that time, because in reality you're coaching them for free when they should be paying you to coach. Otherwise they need to be going to free coaches, or they need to be going to free events, or they need to start doing other things. There's there's a journey to up until the point where they can get to you and actually become a client. They're not there yet. So in that regard, you can say, okay, I bless you. I understand where you're at. I get it. Let me know. Just hit me up when you're ready. Right. And then you get people who say, I can't afford it, because they don't see the value in it. Okay. So we as coaches can really get tripped up when it comes to, especially as a high value coach, we can get tripped up when other people don't see our value, because here we are, we're working every day, we're showing up, we're doing the things, right? And then for someone to come along and just not see the value in that, it's really difficult to, not take that personally. But it isn't personal. It's not personal against you, especially if You have the content to back you up. You have accessible offers. Like, you're giving people options, right? They have options of different levels of investing with you. And so if you have something that's accessible to someone that can only afford a $10 thing, someone that can only afford a $100 thing, right? You have these little micro pieces of content that are accessible. You don't have to feel bad about people saying that they can't afford you, because you know you have levels of accessibility that they could access, and it's up to them. And if they can't utilize the stuff at the level that they're at, what makes you think that they're going to be able to do the work and commit to the work at a level they can't afford? Okay. Cats are such good listeners. They so are. It translates into I want to pick your brain for free. Absolutely. And there's nothing against people who are trying to get free information, but as a high value coach, you don't need to do that. You've already, how many free readings have you done? How many free coaching sessions have you done? How many people have you helped for free? Like, it's over. It's enough now. Let the new coaches and let the new tarot readers have all those people. There is almost kind of like an ecosystem within our community. Every day there's new tarot readers. They can have those clients. And every day there's tarot readers that graduate from that, right? Marissa says people who want to work with me for coaching are really wanting to connect with ancestral helping spirits. People who have either already done that or who are more interested in a tradition tend to say no. Interesting. When they're in their dark night of the soul, then you become their dark night champion as a coach. Lauren says, I will tell you, when I bought the Market Yourself course, I didn't feel like I was ready or worthy or advanced enough. I honestly probably couldn't afford it, and I don't really have the time. I just had a baby. I jumped anyway. I'm still doing it. My eyes are bigger than my stomach when it comes to my future. People do what they truly want to do. Sometimes it's hard to admit what you don't want for yourself. Yeah. And one of my biggest things, and I actually have a video on YouTube. It's about how to stop saying I can't afford it and what that really means. So if you want to go deeper diving into that, I have a video about it. It's also on the podcast. And it talks about what to say and what to do instead of I can't afford it. Vivian says, I love this. People who see your value because they are aware of their needs and that you feel that need. It's a subjective thing. Absolutely. Sarah says, I feel like sometimes people spend too much time chasing people and trying to overcome objections. They do. Absolutely. There are a lot of potential clients in the world that time could be spent on. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. So, it becomes a matter of figuring out who is worth investing the time in and working smarter, not harder, to create the content that's going to sell your coaching rather than chasing people. Because high value coaches don't chase people. They don't. They attract people. They're a magnet. People come to them. I remember paying for a $600 soul retrieval 20 years ago. It was a that's a lot 20 years ago. It was a small fortune for me at the time, but I found a way to make it happen. When I made mention I couldn't afford it, to the practitioner said if I wanted it, I would find a way. She was right. And that can be really triggering for a lot of people to hear that, but it is the reality. I mean, if I want a new purse and it's like $1,000, then I'm gonna find a way. If I have to put it on credit or I have to like work an extra day or something, I'm gonna, do that. And if I don't really want it, then I won't do it. And it's okay. It really is okay to not want things. And it's okay for your clients to discover, actually, your potential clients rather, that they're actually not ready to coach with you. And that's why I say no probably 80% of the time to one-on-ones and things like that. Now, when it comes to selling a course or something, then I'm going to say, yeah, I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, I price my things accessibly. So it's like, I know for certain that what I put out there is worth that amount of money. So it's a confidence thing too. And having different tiers and levels of things accessibly. And when you have all of these little things in place, those, I can't afford it, I don't have time, I have to ask for permission, blah, 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 that sort of stuff just kind of falls away. And it's just it's not even a big deal anymore. Like, you have better things to do. I thought I did not have money for the course. I figured it out. Yeah. I mean, how many courses have I bought on credit? Like, that's the thing. Every time a bell rings, a tarot reader gets their wings. Yeah. I think you should make that into a meme, Vivian. I think you should make that into a meme and post it into the group. So I have people approach me like that, and before I even give an ounce of my energy, I suggest an exchange for a love donation of no lower than 15. But you can't live off donations. Donations are a sham anyways. You can't really accept donations for business and I'm talking about in the eyes of the law and the IRS. So you might as well just not do donations at all because it's not a real thing. So you could do like a pay scale or something like that, but set definitive, like what you said, $15 minimum. And really, in my opinion, Jessica, I think you should be at least $25 minimum. And what do people think you're going to say to their objections? Lauren says they know you aren't going to adjust the price or commitment of your work for them. They want you to give them permission. Yeah. Some people might think I might adjust that, and that's not going to happen. That's why I have backups. I have upsells and downsells. I have, okay, you can't afford the $2,000 package. Okay, well then let's get you into a $300 course, right? So meeting people where they're at, having reasonable expectations of their finances, and being able to hop in a call and not walk away without selling anything, right? So if you have these levels of investments, then you have things that you can sell anybody. And if they don't take advantage of that, then you know that to stop talking to them, mute them. You can mute people. I do it all the time. If people are bothering you and like telling you, like, I'll have people that are like, for 2 years, they'll be like, I'm going to invest in your course next week. And then it just like, they tell me that every week and it's like 2 years later. I just mute those people because I'm like, okay, I've spent enough time with you now. I've done enough, released enough content, built enough content out there. I have accessible things. I don't need to have this conversation with you anymore. All right. Marissa says, how do you translate your success with clients into the right price? Translate my success with clients into the right price. I don't think I can, because success is subjective as well. So what I can say is that if you do the work, this is my mantra. My coaching is effective 100% of the time for people that do the work. So I have a 100% effective rate, right? If you don't do the work, then I don't consider you have been involved in my coaching, right? So I wouldn't say that those two things are necessarily related. When it comes to price, I look more at market values and experience, not success, experience. Because the moment that you start trying to qualify your price based on your success rates, that's a lot of pressure to put on your shoulders that you have no real control over, right? You are having unreasonable expectations of people, and it's like internalizing that. I am a meme. The problem is that some people do adjust the price for people like this. Well, that's on them, and that's where we have to say no and say, I'm a high value coach. I don't do that. I'm not adjusting the price, but I'm going to try to get you into something more in your budget, right? Jessica says, I have had it happen 4 times in the last 3 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I even felt like 15 was a bit of a low rate for me. So then I can go forward. So let's say someone sends you a book of information. They're like, hi, Jessica, I'm seeing this man and we've been dating and blah, blah, blah. And it's 5 years, 5 years later of story. And you send like this, they send you this whole story. Can you help me? You read it, you skim through it, learn how to speed read. It's very easy. You can learn how to do this online. It's called speed reading, where you can learn how to skim really quickly. And you just read the nouns and the verbs. Okay. That's that sort of thing. That's how I read like a whole page in just a couple seconds and get the gist of what they're saying. And then I will think to myself, okay, can I help this person? And I'll say, yes, so-and-so, I can help you. Thank you for sharing about your what's going on in your life. I think this is the reading that you would really benefit from. Here's the link to purchase it. And that's it. Discovery chat, done. And if they have some questions like, and then maybe they'll have some follow-up questions. Are you do you read tarot cards? Are you an angel card reader? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then you write them back and you say, yes or no. Yes, I can. That's it. Right? We spend so much time like explaining. We don't have to explain things. You're welcome. Vivian says, what do you do with the anxiety of facing judgment for being salesy? I grew up in a low income, so my family hates salespeople because they trigger their own feelings of inadequacy. So I'm doing inner child work on it, but I want to hear what you do. Okay, so no one likes to feel sold to, like no one, and really what it is not that people don't like to be sold to, because how many brands do you follow on social media? I follow ColourPop and all they ever post is things about buy this makeup, buy this thing. So it's not that we don't want to be sold to. We understand businesses sell and we don't mind being around ads. Ads and marketing isn't the problem. The problem is when we single out or corner people, that's when it feels icky. So the best way to go about that, in my opinion, is to let people come to you. And so what we do with that is we create the content, right? We create the no-brainer investment offers, that sort of thing. And we sell through stories. And so instead of me messaging Susie and telling her that I want, instead of like, nobody wants this, okay, where I'll message Susie and I've never spoken to her before. And she's a complete stranger to me. And I message her and I say, hey, I have this course for blah, blah, blah. You should buy it. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes cold marketing or being cold pitched to, right? So what we can do is we can instead create the content, and we do that through telling stories. So you have your educational content, which is like your YouTube content. And I teach that in the Market Yourself as a Spiritual Life Coach course, modules 5 and 6. We talk about how to figure out buzzwords around your brand. We figure out how to develop certain types of content titles. We learn how to figure out what your clients are actually looking for, the topics that they're looking for, and they should be educational in nature. I always say, talk about your story, talk generally about things, but don't give away your exact processes or your strategies for free. That's what people should be paying for, right? So speaking about things generally is fine, but don't give away your specific process. Or if you do give away the process, have in mind how you're going to upsell that person into the next thing, right? So educational content, that's one type of category of content. The other types of content are going to be in inspirational content and motivational content. And they're very, very similar. So the first step to being able to doing that is knowing your story through story selling is what I call it. You need to know your own story. And what that means is that you need to understand, you need to be able to verbalize and put into words and understand the timeline of your life, of the things that have happened to you, the experiences that you have gone through, how they have affected you as a person. We tend to do this most commonly through like what traumas that we have gone through, that sort of thing. Our dark nights of the souls, these really, really difficult situations that we have gone through in our lives, and where we have started on our spiritual journey, because there has to be that turning point. Like I said yesterday, like you have to have used your modalities and the strategies and the processes that you teach to some level of success within yourself before you know that they can be successful with others. So there has to be these stories that what was wrong, what happened to us, how that made us feel, how it affected us, what were some of the negative things that manifested in our life because of that. What was the catalyst that kind of woke us up to those cycles and patterns that we find ourselves in? And then what was our journey like finding these tools and strategies and processes in order to help ourselves heal from things, break habits, things like that. Carla says, I have a hard time not giving away my processes or techniques because I feel like that's what people want from me, and otherwise may not pay attention to my content. Definitely need to review this. Yeah. So, for example, someone give me a niche. Someone just give me one. If you have a niche, give me your niche. And I'll give you an example. Actually, give me a couple niches. We'll do this for a couple different niches to kind of give you an idea of how this works. Mediumship. All right. Clients who want a mediumship reading, or people who want to teach mediumship. Let's go with getting clients who want mediumship. Okay. So if I was going to sit down and I was going to think about my story, and I think about how mediumship has played out in my life. So I start thinking about, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, start thinking about, okay, what is my experience with mediumship? And why do I think I have mediumship? And what is it all about, right? What does it all mean? So I'll start writing down, okay, at 3 or 4 years old, I saw my first spirit and it scared me. At 6 years old, I saw my first apparition, and nobody believed me that it was real. When I was 13, I was visited by ghosts pretty much every night. And I was also dealing with some serious like poltergeist activity. I also felt really depressed and anxious and things like that. Okay. So, and then when I was older, I started going to mediums, and I've always had a fascination with it. Okay. So that's our story. That's the story that we have. Those are our experiences. Now, if I wanted to come up with a piece of content, I would look at this story and I would say, okay, let's pick one little piece of this story. I'm going to create some type of inspirational piece of content. Okay. I would pick, let's just pick the first memory. I saw a spirit when I was 3 and it scared me. All right. So what I would say is I'm going to write a piece of inspirational content about the fears of seeing spirits, about why it can be scary and what we can actually do about it. And then at the end, I'm going to pitch a session where I'm going to help you reduce your fear around seeing spirits. Okay, it's a new week or a new month. I'm still selling mediumship. I'm going to go through this story, and I'm going to I want to do some type of inspirational piece or motivational piece of content. I look at my story, and in my story, I see at 6 years old, I saw my first apparition and nobody believed me. Okay, so I'm going to think, how can I motivate people to push through the block of nobody believing them or feeling like they're crazy because they see apparitions? All right. So I'm going to create that piece of content. I'm going to talk about how I felt, what my experiences were, what being dismissive of that ended up causing, the negative things that it ended up causing in my life. And then I'm going to talk about how I actually started not thinking I was crazy and not caring that other people didn't believe me if I saw apparitions. And then I'm going to sell a session for people to coach them and work with them in order to basically overcoming this idea of that your gifts are real, and that it's okay if people don't, believe that, and just do some coaching around that. Okay. Now, if they were like a client, then you would want to do, like, if they were like a mediumship reading client, like their grandfather passed away and they wanted a reading, then focus out on your educational content. Like, who needs mediumship readings? Why do they need mediumship readings? what's a sign that you need a mediumship reading? What kind of mediumship readings can you do? That sort of educational content. Do you guys follow along with what I'm saying there? Okay, let's say angels. Andy says angel, Nisha's angels. So if I wanted to put together a inspirational piece of content, I want to inspire others, right? So I'm going to think back to my life. Okay, what has been my experience with angels? So when I was 3 or 4 years old, I saw angels and describing how they looked to me. When I was in a car accident when I was 18, 19 years old, I got into a car accident in the middle of the desert. These are all real stories I'm telling you, by the way. I got into a car accident in the middle of the desert. Some girl T-boned me, locked me in my car, had to use the jaws of life to get me out. We were in the middle of the desert. There was no lights. There was nothing out there. This lady just pops up on my driver's side and she asked me if I'm okay, and she says she's calling the police, and she disappears. That was, in my opinion, an angel. And then I started working with angels when I was 24, 25, because I found Doreen Virtue and I was going through a really difficult time in my life. They taught me how to connect with the inner goodness, right? So if I want to make an inspirational piece of content, I'm going to look at these pieces of my story. And I'm going to pick, let's say I'm going to pick when I was 24 or 25 years old, when I started working with angels and learning about the archangels. And I'm going to put some type of inspirational content together where I'm discussing things like how it can feel when you feel like you're disconnected from your angel team. What are some of the signs and symptoms that you're disconnected? What are the signs that your angels actually want to connect with you? How easy it is to connect with angels and learn about angels. I'm also going to probably say something really comforting to the effect of like, you don't even have to believe in angels in order to work with them, because people are still like, they're not really sure they believe in angels. Okay. So that's how you would kind of you would pick things from your story, talk about how you went through it in your life, talk about that turning point, and then either inspire, motivate, or educate people, and then have a call to action. Okay? What I figured out is that my connection to this process is part of the teaching. So I'm part of the teaching. Absolutely. Absolutely. So why do we share stories, you guys? We share stories because that's empathetic selling. We connect more empathetically through someone's story than we ever will through any type of like ad copywriting or anything like that. So whenever I teach, storytelling is an integral part of that process, either my own personal experiences or experiences that my clients have gone through, experiences that I've seen other people kind of go through, and what my thoughts are about that. Okay. But story selling is very, very important. And it's the way to make a emotional connection with someone without ever having a direct conversation with them. You can learn a lot about people and how they talk about their stories, and how they kind of inspire, motivate, or educate you. And it's really more about like what you take away from hearing someone's story, because when we hear people's stories, it kind of becomes like our own teacher. Does that make sense? Like we get what we need out of it without there being an actual lesson. Okay. So story selling, very, very, very important. Lauren, I have a video on YouTube, because she says I want to hear everybody's ghost stories. I have a video on YouTube that talks about my childhood ghost stories. So if you're interested, you can listen to that one too. Vila says this is really helpful. I've been having a hard time coming up with content that talks around awakening your genius without actually going through the tools I would use in a course or session. Yeah. And so Vila, you're really going to love modules 4, 5, and 6, because in module 4 of the Market Yourself as a Tarot Life Coach program, we talk about how to identify your story. We talk about the different types of stories that we can tell. And it's a great module, especially if you want to learn more about yourself, because once you know who you are, then it's easier to talk about yourself. And when you own your story and you own the things that happen to you, you become more empowered, because now you get to write the script of how it ends, right? So we don't have any control over the things that really happen to us, but we have control how we utilize those things that have happened to us and how we can find power and also profit in that. Carla says, I've been, just the other day, I was jotting down all the ways my spirit guides have helped me and saved me. So start thinking about content that you can create from that. Jessica says, I'm currently writing a book of educational content. I am incorporating these tools. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. The last thing that I really want to talk about today is this concept that I talk about a lot, and it's always good to review this in different contexts. And the concept is called loving detachment, where loving detachment has been super, super helpful for me in managing my boundaries, managing my own expectations, managing the expectations that others have of me. In sales and just in manifesting 101, detachment is really key to manifesting with ease. Because I know it seems counterintuitive because when we're so focused on, and there's this whole stuff that people do, what you think about is what you attract, like, not really. I mean, it's like if you think that you're broke, you're going to be broke. Okay, to an extent, maybe. Or if you have negative thoughts, negative things are going to happen to you. Maybe. I mean, there is real karma. Like, I'm not going to downplay that there is real karma. I'm not going to downplay, like, that sort of thing. But also, like, overthinking things can really sabotage manifesting as well, because then you start thinking about, then all that stuff starts creeping in. Do I deserve this? Am I worthy of this? Do people take me seriously? That sort of thing. And one of the best things that I have ever done in terms of increasing my manifesting powers is not caring. And that's really, really difficult. Like, no, I wouldn't say not caring. I do care, but I make sure that the things that I care about are things that are important and not important. Like, if people don't want to invest, if people don't want to become a client, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Like, loving detachment, I don't have to wrap my self-worth in that. When I have other people that are interested in working with me, right? So it's like where you're pivoting your attention and intention. So if you see yourself, you wake up one day and you're not feeling great and your energy is feeling kind of low and you're feeling kind of defeated, have the pity party, eat the chocolate, cry it out, but then pivot. And that's really, really important too. Saying, you know what, I know I feel like this, but I'm going to choose to feel this way about it. And then usually you can kind of self-correct yourself. And it's a discipline. It takes time. It takes energy to do that. It takes practice. So it's just one of those things. Like, one of my favorite things that I'll say to myself is something along the lines of, I lovingly detach from this person's drama, or I lovingly detach from this person's limiting beliefs because they aren't mine. Because as empaths, we can very often kind of take other people's identities into our own. So as an empath, one of your biggest priorities is learning how to separate your energy from other people's energy. The manifesting process gets oversimplified, and there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. So be careful about who you really listen to when it comes to manifesting. And if if what they're saying makes you feel like a crap person, it's probably bad information. So, it shouldn't make you feel bad. It should make you feel expansive. You'll know if law of attraction information is real if it makes you feel expansive versus making you feel like you have to close in. Obsessing over your thoughts is how people sell the law of attraction, not use it. Drives me nuts. So, isn't that the truth? Yeah. Okay. So I can't believe we're at an hour today. That's crazy. Where did the time go? So I want to invite you now. If you are not in the market yourself as a spiritual life coach program, it's a 6-month program. You come in, there's 12 modules, there's 12 workbooks. I think there's like 105 pages of workbooks. So there's a lot. It takes most people around 6 months to do the program. Some people come in and do it in 3 months. Some people come in and they're still doing it after a year. So when you buy the program, you get immediate access to all of that, like all of the videos, all of the workbooks, and there's even like a lot of bonus stuff in there. It's all available right when you come in. When you come in, you get access to that right away, and that's yours. That's yours. You get that for the lifetime that I decide to host it. Okay. Now, when you come in, you also get 6 months of homework feedback. So, and what I do is on Mondays, I'm there from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. CST or so. And what I do is there are little threads where you can submit homework for each of the modules. So what you'll do is you'll submit your homework in. I will be on there on a Monday and I will go through the homework and actually give you feedback. And that's for 6 months. Now, if it takes you longer than 6 months to do the program, or you want to go back through like modules and things like that, or go back through and redo some things, or this happens all the time, people change their niche and then they just go back through the course. It's like one of those where it's like it's relevant even after you go through it. Like you'll still get things out of it even after you go through it. So what you can do is I offer extended support. All right. And so you can buy that at 3 months at a time. Now, here's the thing. I'm only running this live for 2021. I'm not sure. I can't verify that I'm going to run this live in 2022. So if you want to get in on this, I would recommend getting started right away. When you get through, let's say like module 9 or so, module 10, you start getting towards the end of the program, then you actually get invited to be part of our summits. So I was talking yesterday about doing summits and telesummits, really big list building exercises and income generating exercises. Okay. So we do 2 of those per year. We do in June, the Summer of Magic. Our upcoming theme for this summer is going to be animal medicine and plant magic, I believe. And then we also do in December, the 12 days of Christmas. And what that is where like in the course, I will give you like my live stream scripts. I will give you ideas about like how to actually sell on live video, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So it's like practice. You get to practice, you get to be part of the events, and then you get to keep coming back. So if you do it once with me successfully, it's really cool because you can keep coming back and keep doing the summits with us. And so it's something to look forward to every single year. Okay. On top of that, I have people that have been in courses with me for years and years and have been doing summits with me for like 4 or 5 years now. They're all doing their own summits. And if you eventually want to do your own summits and things like that, that's something we can talk about. It's also really cool because you get to meet a community of people that are really serious about their business. So if you want to meet people to collab with, to do like guest interviews or have people on your podcast or have people on your YouTube channel or do like joint ventures with, these are where all of the cool kids are kind of hanging out. But so the first module is all about getting over some of these fears of success. So the first 2 modules are like all about mindset. So really going into depth about mindset, lots of journaling activities, and then the third module, we talk about what kind of coach are you? Because I don't think, and I don't believe that we're all like a same kind of coach. I don't believe in the whole cookie cutter coach type thing. So module 3 is all about figuring out what is your style of coaching. Are you more of a coach? Are you more of a mentor? Are you a teacher? And what are going to be some of the business models that are going to appeal to those types of personality types? And then in module 4, we get into storytelling and we learn how to tell our own transformational story. You'll be able to get content to be able to put in your bio. If you want to learn how to do selling through storytelling, like I was talking about today, that will be integral, be a very integral piece of that. Modules 5 and 6 are all about creating content. So finding buzzwords around your brand, being able to come up with educational content, finding popular content that people actually want to view. All of those very important things. And then polarization. We talked about drama and scandal a little bit, I think on the first day or yesterday too. We probably talked about it all 3 days because it's a big selling thing. But you'll learn how to polarize. So polarization is where you're taking a stance. And when you do that, you get to, you make a little bit of a wave in the community and you can get recognized really quickly. 7 and 8 are all about setting up your own signature sessions, putting together your packages. And then we go forward from that into setting up opt-ins, what is an opt-in, what is the use of an opt-in, how to come up with opt-in ideas. And then there's a whole module 11 on copywriting. So if you want to learn how to get into the right mindset when you sit down to write content, what kind of mindset you need. There's also like a copywriting word bank. I think there's like 1,000 words in there. Like some of my favorite words I love to use in copywriting. It has a training on call to action. And then the last module is all about how to do a content creation calendar. It has more in-depth information about income generating activities. There's even like a sheet that I've created. You guys can tick things off. There's lots of bonuses in there too. You get my whole resource list, like the apps and the websites I like to use for live streaming, for podcasting, all the technical stuff, that kind of thing. You can ask me that in there. There's lists for that as well. Let's see. There's also a bonus training in there, and it's called 10 Steps to Confident Spiritual Life Coaching. It's like I think a 1 or 2 hour training, and it comes with a little handout where I actually walk you through the step-by-step process that I actually like, the intake forms, the questions that I ask, how to actually conduct the session, what I use to conduct the session, how I handle keeping client records, all that kind of stuff. Very, very, very in-depth. So I'm going to give you guys the link to sign up for this course. It's already done. It's already there. We are literally just waiting on you. And once you get in, like I said, you get access to everything. I'm there on Mondays. You can do homework feedback, or you can ask questions on the wall. And it's like you will actually get a guaranteed answer, right? And you can actually work as fast or as slow as you want. You can skip around modules if you want to. That's totally cool too. So, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure type of course. Yeah. Oh, you are so welcome, Kara. She says, I really appreciate you sticking to the time scheduled. Absolutely. Soul says the 6th or 7th, I'll be joining the course. Can't wait. Do you go over how to coach, or is it just marketing for coaches? It's a little bit about how to coach, a little bit, but it's mostly 80% the marketing, the back end, that sort of thing. Sarah says, if you haven't taken the program, you should. Christina goes above and beyond. I'm excited for her next program. Thank you so much. I agree with Sarah. This course is packed with value. Thank you, Lauren. Andy says, just want to say that in 2019, 2020, I spent over $4,000 in high-end marketing and coaching courses, but Christina's course has literally turned my life upside down. Highly recommend it as the best course ever. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Carla says your free course. Oh yeah, my Discover Your Soul's Calling. So I do have a free quiz that you can take, and it will give you an idea about who you are as a spiritual entrepreneur, a spiritual coach, and give you like modalities that would be good for you. It also talks about ways that you can niche, talks about ways that some limiting beliefs that you need to overcome, and also your path to 6-figure success, some type of business models and things like that. That is free. So you can go on and grab that. And if you really like that, then you'll love the Market Yourself as a Spiritual Life Coach course. Desiree says, I love Christina's course. You won't regret it. So worth it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Kara says, I agree. Christina's courses are the highest value courses I've yet come by so far. Thank you. Danielle says, yes, it's great. Vila says, I'm very much enjoying the course. I've been working through it quickly and watching all the videos. Awesome. Vivian says, I'm going through the course very slow, but every little bit is worth gold babies, golden nugget babies. Okay, guys, I so appreciate you for being with me for these 3 days. There's no homework today. I just really want my homework for you today is to enjoy your evening and enjoy your weekend and do something nice for yourself this weekend. You have absorbed a lot of information over the last 3 days, and I just want you to be rested up and fresh and ready to hit Monday, ready to go, and knowing what you're going to be doing, what you're selling, and how you're going to get those sales. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I will see you in the group. Bye.